So here we are for a little talk. Gaslighting part 2. So the part 1 was about how it's common in offices now, where the good guy, who's really a bad guy, tries to pretend he's a good guy. And then the bad guy, who's really the good guy, he tries to persuade, it can be she also, that they're false thinking about something. And actually they're not false thinking about something at all, but this person wishes the other person to think that they're not up to par. So the term comes from a 1920s era movie called Gaslighting. And in it, the husband, tries to make the wife think that she's going insane and doubt herself. And he does it by all sorts of clever tricks, And then, by extension, it happens in offices all the time. Like, someone will go to the boss and say, this person is harassing me, or racially slandering me, or sexually harassing me. But the boss says, are you sure? Maybe he's just joking with you, or he's just being playful, or the other way around, she is. So it's just creating doubts in a correct thought, basically, is what it is all about. You're on the right track, but for some personal reason, somebody doesn't want you to know that you are. So obviously, in the case of an office, the person doesn't want someone to blow the whistle on the company. In the case of a marriage, the person might want out of the marriage, or for some reason want to suppress the spouse. So they use this gaslighting technique to create doubt in the mind of a person that's totally right. It's manipulation is what it is. So that was a talk maybe a week and a half or so ago. And so I thought about it a little bit, and I was wondering to myself whether people gaslight themselves. And you can probably guess the answer is yes, they do all the time. They, want to do something. They want to go surfing. But then, your mind thinks, but you've never had good balance. Or, all of those surfers are really buff and I'm this scrawny guy. What will I look like out there on a surfboard? Or you want to write essays for a newspaper and you think to apply, or a magazine, or even write a book. But then your mind says, how are you going to do that? You haven't even graduated from high school. So what's happening here? Well, what's happening is self-doubt is happening. And it's very, very unhelpful, very contradictory to the human spirit. You have an aspect of mind masquerading as someone out for your best interest, but actually it's just laziness masquerading as doubt, and you falling for it, because as human beings, we tend to think it's okay to be a little lazy and forgiving of ourselves. Self-doubt happens to many people every single morning. Let's say you normally get up at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever. And it's freezing cold, and it's raining, and it's terrible weather outside, and you're all cuddled up in your bed. You wake up in the morning, you look at your watch, and you say, gee, I don't usually get up for another hour and a half. I don't have anything to do. So you want to kind of get up, but you notice that the time isn't right. So you use that as an excuse for yourself. You think, I'll get up and do something worthwhile. I'll go paint a room or something. But your mind says that, well, why do that? You've got an hour and a half, and then the sleeping bag that's so warm gets even warmer, and the pillow even softer, and then you doze back to sleep. So we tend to think that things should go according to a certain schedule when they don't. We use that as an excuse not to just do anything but lay there, enjoying the comfort. Now, what's wrong with that is that we tend to crave that and hide from discomfort. But in the long run, the discomfort might do you more service than the comfort. I mean, even forget a dharmic level or a so-called dharmic level or a Buddhist or Hindu point of view where you should be vigorous and all of this. But even on a worldly level, on a common everyday level, if you look for comfort and you favor that over discomfort, then you will not do very well when you're forced into an uncomfortable situation, which often happens. You look at the Tibetan people, for example. They were exiled. The communists invaded Tibet in 1959. And the Tibetans left Tibet, and they marched over the highest mountain ranges in the world with very little provisions, and almost on the spur of the moment. Many on the spur of the moment. The Dalai Lama left on the spur of the moment. They were already basically within Lhasa, and they were set to invade his palace the next day, and his oracle informed him that, the palace is going to get invaded, and you better get out. So, what did His Holiness the Dalai Lama do? He didn't have, tons of time to think about it. In fact, what he did was he went to his shrine room. You can imagine the incredible deities he had in his shrine room, and the many shrine rooms. And because he's an incarnation of Avalokiteshvara, the God of compassion, I like to think of him as her goddess of compassion. But be that as it may, the historians are against me, so it's the God of compassion. Probably some misogynic, or whatever that word is, man favoritism. Maybe someday it will be correctly viewed as a goddess. But for now, anyway, he didn't go in there to pray to the gods for their blessings, because he himself is regarded as an incarnation of Avalokiteshvara. So he blessed the gods and all the statues and all the books in his shrine room, and he didn't take anything with him. He blessed them that they'd fare well under the Chinese. And so he fled, but thousands of others fled also, with very little provisions. And they went over that, 4-week or so trek out of the Tibet, sometimes more, depending on where in Tibet you were, through the Himalayas and into Nepal. And some went into Sikkim, Bhutan, and eventually into India. And Sikkim is actually in India, on the northeastern. So I personally was in a monastery up in the Himalayas one day, and I saw these two cute little girls. They were about 7 years old, barefooted and in rags. And they arrived at Tushig Rinpoche's monastery. They were so adorable with their apple cheeks and everything. And I came to find out those two little kids hiked over the Himalayas to the monastery safety. So how are they able to do this? It's not because when they think to get up in the morning, the sleeping bag feels so warm, or the blankets feel so comfortable, or the wood burning fire in the room is so comfortable that they just stay in bed. No, they're used to hardship. If they get up and it's not even time to get up, but they can't go back to sleep, they get up. They'll take a bath or a shower in the freezing cold water. They'll get some hot water on for the family. They'll sweep the rooms and stuff, the pathways and stuff. They're accustomed to hardship. And so, because of that, they're not attached to their bodies. They live more in tune with their mind. So they don't allow themselves to think, well, it feels so good. They use reasoning, and they think, wouldn't it be nice if my parents woke up and the house was all clean, or there was a fire going and no water going? This is how they think naturally. So when push comes to shove and the unexpected falls upon them, they're on it. They don't get pushed around. They rise to the task. Actually, it reminds me of a joke. In Kathmandu, there's a joke. If a Nepalese are a little more lazy than Tibetans. So the joke is that Kathmandu is the capital of Nepal. So the joke is that if a Nepali leaves the mountains and goes into Kathmandu, he's begging on the streets for ever, really ever. And if a Tibetan arrives from Tibet into Kathmandu, he has a store or a shop within 2 months, even arriving penniless. So it's because of their vigor and ingenuity. So the point is that whatever undertaking we want to do, even if you really wanted this really beautiful girl, or a girl wanted a really handsome guy, and maybe both of them, they were kind of homely, So what's the mind going to say? Well, you're so homely. How do you think you're going to get someone like that? But the homeliest guys and girls get the best looking mates if they have the right attitude and they know themselves inside. Because if you're beautiful inside, doesn't matter how ugly you are outside, how fat or skinny or out of shape you are. If you're beautiful inside and you don't doubt yourself and you trust yourself and you never leave yourself for even an instant, you're always with yourself. If you don't depart from yourself, you can get anything you want. So, sometimes we tend to think, well, I'm not good enough to enroll in that college. I'm going to tell you a story. I had a friend that was in LA, a gang member. He wandered into a Buddhist teaching somehow in the middle of LA, tattooed up, and I could tell he's on the other side of the street. But I thought, what's he doing here, at this Dharma teaching? So the teaching was an all-day teaching, so there was a break. And during the break, lunch break, I walked up to him and said, "What's your name?" He told me his name. I said, "Do you want to go eat?" And he said, "Sure." So the two of us went to eat lunch. And he was from the school of hard knocks. But we became friends. And it was his first time at a Dharma teaching. And so I kept him posted on other teachings. And he would show up, and then pretty soon he came to my house and we would talk. One day he said to me, I want to go to college. Now you see, in his group, that's really lame. In that mindset, it's like black people. If a black person lives in a black community and he gets a job in a bank, when he goes home every day, he gets tortured racially by all of his roommates, his homies in the apartment, in the complex, in the location where he lives. Hey, working for Whitey, and so forth, So, like this new friend of mine, he was getting all sorts of, flack from his friends. He wanted to go to college, but even that notwithstanding, he had doubts whether he has the ability to go to college. So he said to me, "Why don't I go to Santa Monica, start off humble, Santa Monica College. What do you think? Is that a good idea for me?" I said, "Yeah, that's the best idea I've ever heard of." So he went. So after 2 years, he graduated from Santa Monica College. Before he graduated, he said, "I want to go to 4-year college. You think I can do it?" I said, "Why not? Just go apply." So he applied to college back east. He got in. Not only he got in, he got a scholarship. Next thing I knew, he was in Harvard. Next thing I knew, he got a PhD out of Virginia, University of Virginia. So, whatever you want to do, you can do it. Why not? Why would you want to do something that you can't do? It doesn't make sense. It's like, you know, if you have the thought to do it, it wouldn't be there if it was out of the range of possibilities. You have to believe. Have faith. And, know the nature of your own mind and the games it plays. Basically, we all have dualistic thinking. But one is controlled by desires, to beautiful forms, beautiful fragrances, tastes, fine flavors, beautiful music and sounds, and beautiful, wonderful feelings, sensations. But that which sees, and that which hears, and that which tastes and smells and feels, it's not dependent on any of that. It's, completely, all of that's incidental, whether it's good or bad. And that's what, what we want to identify with. So it's, it's in our own best interest, whenever we doubt an idea that comes to mind, to have an attitude, well, it's there in my head. And therefore, it's possible. And if that's possible and I accomplish it, then maybe it'll open the door to better ideas and lead me somewhere higher and higher if I keep doing that. Self-affirmation is like a ladder going higher and higher every time you affirm one of your ideas by giving it a go. And as Bobby Dylan says, no success like failure. So even if you fail, you tried. But if you doubt yourself and you don't act, it's like a ladder going down and down and down and down till you wind up depressed and just lying in bed all the time, like an inert, weight on yourself. And then you begin feeling sorry for yourself, like the world is against you. It ain't the world that's against anyone. It's each individual against himself. So you can either affirm yourself or doubt yourself. So at every turn, affirm yourself. Because, affirmation might lead to failure. But keep in mind, Dylan says, no success like failure. You'll get the hang of it after a while. And you can change the course of your whole life, like my friend did, by just choosing school over gangs, education, even though at the time it was secular education, which later turned out to be otherwise. Like now he's one of the leading Buddhist scholars in the world. So if we keep in mind, that our potential, and we don't have to look very far to get plenty of affirmation about that. Christ said, the kingdom of God is within. Buddha said, all living beings have the Buddha nature. So if you want to be, if you don't believe them, at least believe in yourself. You don't have to be a religious fanatic or even religious at all. Just believe in yourself. That's the real Dharma. Be happy. When my father passed away, I talked to Tusha Rinpoche about it. And I said, my father was a really good man, but he wasn't a Buddhist. Tusha Rinpoche reprimanded me. Oh, if your father was a good man, then he was a Buddhist. So we don't have to put categories on things. And in fact, it's really true. My father was a good man. In my whole life, I saw him angry one time. Once. And it was when I was a little kid and I stole a rowboat and went out on a lake. He was really pissed because he found me walking around soaking wet in the neighborhood at 2 a.m. with my friend. And he never talked bad about anybody. And he never lied or cheated people. He was a businessman. And he was always happy. So Tusha Rinpoche said, well, if he's a good man and very generous, then he's a Buddhist. So it doesn't matter what you want to call yourself, common person or, religious person. Those are just, stupid nameplates, because some of the most dharmic people I've met, and I'm sure all of you have too, have not followed any religion. They follow it, but they don't call it one. It's us inept people that call ourselves Buddhists. We need some kind of category to put it in, put our goodness in some kind of category. But so, if we don't doubt ourselves, we don't gaslight ourselves, the mind is abundant with all sorts of ideas, ways to be happy, ways to get out of, misery, if you're miserable. And if you're not miserable, you may not be recognizing it. Because the fact is that people that, I know people that they say they're as happy as can be, but they're really miserable. And then there's really miserable people that, say they're miserable. The ones that are as happy as can be, they have the cookie cutter lifestyle, where everything's going as planned. And all their peers love them and stuff, a good job, and they've got a nice house and nice clothes and everything, and comfortable, so what you want to find is the person that's in the kind of life that would make everybody miserable but's got a smile on his face. Like so many people I knew in the mountains and even in the deserts of South India where I lived for 6 months, people didn't have any resources whatsoever, and they were all, I'd go gather water where they gathered water from this huge, 50-foot across well. And they're so jovial and full of life and everything, and they're behind a plow all day long in the desert, and they don't have anything. They barter for clothes and food and everything. So, if you want to see who's happy, you look at the person that you would normally think is miserable and look at their face and see the twinkle in their eye and the glow and the smile. You want to see happy kids, go to Nepal or India to watch them playing in the streets, kicking a rock around like it was the best toy in the world. The teachings are that the mind is enlightening by nature. You don't become enlightened, you just allow it to happen. And the mind's enlightening by nature. It's always trying to enlighten us, or realize it, self-realization. And if we just open to that, then everything becomes possible. Now we have like a terrible pandemic going around, and now people that were miserable blame it on the pandemic. And people that, even people that were happy, they've become miserable, and a lot of that misery is due to blaming something else. But there's always something, and that you can blame. But the thing is to do something about it, because it's our karma. Whatever we have, whatever situation we're in. So in the case like now, where many people are in lockdown and they don't have jobs and things, it's a source of suffering, but it doesn't make the suffering any less by complaining about it or, using ineffective means to resolve one's situation. Turning on the TV every day to see how many people are sick, it doesn't help you any at all, But maybe reading a book would, or writing a story about your life. If you're down and out, you can pretend that you're not, and maybe your fantasies will come true. But if you're down and out and you give yourself, more reason to be down and out, and the ladder's going down and you'll never get back up again. Tibetans are a good example of making the best out of a bad situation. Here they lost their country. They hiked out of the mountains and into India and Nepal as refugees. And as a population goes, Tibetans I know and read about and stuff, in the world they're the leading Buddhist, of course. But they're also known for, they're good scholars and teachers, family people, loyal and loving, and the best friends you could ever have. So if, as a population, they have done so well under very negative circumstances, it's a good lesson for all of us. Because one of the reasons that they've been able to do that is because they've never complained about hardship. Living in Tibet with an average altitude of 17,000 feet. That's why they call it the roof of the world. Made up for a hardy people in mind and body, particularly mind. So they appreciate life, and they know how that dealing with hard times, by making them harder than they are, by ineffective ways of responding. Like feeling sorry for yourself. They lost a whole country, and they never felt sorry for themselves. They built themselves back up. So each individual has to do that for themselves. Be positive. Affirm yourself. Never gaslight yourself. Believe in yourself. And treasure yourself. That's the most important teaching. Treasure yourself. You know, no matter where you are, what level of society or whatever you are, treasure yourself and value your actions and avoid, you know, all sorts of frivolous actions. Aim high. If you fail, you'll at least break even. Okay. That's all my talk for today. Bye-bye. Love to everybody.